Gas prices continue to be a major concern for many Americans. More states are stepping in to give some relief by temporarily suspending gas taxes. ABC's Rhiannon Alley has more.
The pain at the pump continues even as gas prices have dropped slightly in recent weeks. The national average is now $4.24 per gallon.
You know, the gas prices are high. Everybody can't afford those gas prices.
In Oregon, thieves are...
The big day is coming for people on Social Security. A second check will be arriving in just 9 days for the seniors and the retirees. This counts as a double check and is worth $1,800 for many people. SSI recipients also see their second of 2 December payments in 9 days, closing out the 2022 calendar year and kicking off next year's payment schedule again. Eligible recipients receive their first payment of $841 on December 1st and will receive the second payment of $914 on the end of the month. The Social Security Administration has said that the second installment of December's payments is higher than the first because payments are increasing in 2023, partly in response to the rising yearly cost of living adjustment, which is keeping up with record high inflation. December is one of the 3 months in the year which people receive 2 SSI payments. The other months with 2 installments this year were April and September. The double payments offset January, May, and October, during which no payment is sent out. To ensure people receive 12 payments a year, according to the schedule, the SSA said you can get a Social Security benefit totaling $5,000 a month, but your checks cannot be larger than this amount no matter your circumstances. If you would like to receive a monthly check worth up to $40 to $100, you will need to meet a few requirements. Your Social Security benefit is based on a percentage of your average wages in your 35 highest years of earning. The SSA adjusts wages for inflation and then determines the relevant average monthly income to use your benefits for calculation. If you work less than 35 years, you will have a lower average wage input for the formula. As part of the Social Security Administration's determination of your benefits, there's also a cap to how much income is included in the formula. It's the wage base limit. If you earn money above the wage base limit, you don't get the credit for that extra income on your Social Security benefit calculation. And you don't even pay Social Security taxes on that money either. It's because of this, everybody, it has become clear that the inflation is not as transitory as the Federal Reserve once believed. In reaction to persistent inflation, the Fed has embarked on the most aggressive monetary tightening policy in modern history. Supply is determined by how much of a good is produced, and demand is determined by the desire and capacity of the consumer to buy the good or service. The crisis has created a historical mismatch in both supply and demand. We also saw an unprecedented injection of fiscal and monetary stimulus into the economy. According to economists, from a recession avoidance perspective, the stimulus has been effective. And in April 2020, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported the unemployment rate at 15%, the highest level ever recorded. But in 2021, unemployment was below 4% and GDP has returned to pre-crisis levels. Much of this recovery can be attributed to aggressive money creation. As a result, the Fed's balance sheet grew again, $4 trillion in February 2020 to more than $9 trillion by mid-2022. It means more than half of all dollars in existence today were created in the last 2.5 years. The Fed has begun raising the rates. In fact, the pace and level of interest rate increases have been the most dramatic in modern-day history. Despite the dramatic rise in rates, inflation remains elevated. According to sources, the number of job openings exceeded the number of unemployed workers early last summer. By September, the number of available workers per job opening was 0.5. To put this in perspective, in 2009, after the financial crisis, there were 6.5 available jobs per opening. But now, a tight labor market feeds inflation in 2 days. The overall supply is constrained due to underproduction relative to demand, and competition for labor tends to push up labor costs, resulting in higher prices. I want to see President Biden do more for the people and do more for stimulus checks, especially as the year comes to an end. I'm waiting for President Biden to do more for the American people and send out stimulus payments. I definitely hope he does this.
Thank you, Mr. Woodall. Senator Carper, the chairman, is not back, so I'll proceed with some questions, and I'm sure I'll turn it over to him when he returns. So, Dr. Meltzer, I'm looking at your testimony here. I wasn't here for the beginning of the answers to Senator Carper's questions, but I'll just read this. You say there's no globally agreed definition of digital trade. However, it is a term increasingly used to describe an ecosystem that is more expansive than e-commerce, which is focused on trade in goods and services purchased online. Digital trade includes the important role of cross-border data flows and how data and digital technologies such as cloud computing and artificial intelligence can enable trade. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, Senator.
And let me just ask our other witnesses. Ms. Bliss, do you agree with that definition, or do you have any differences?
No, I don't have differences. And I think that Dr. Meltzer has adequately described it. And in my written testimony, we try to elaborate that in our view, the digital economy certainly is what are referred to the pipes, the infrastructure, the fiber optic cables, the technology that enable the internet, and then the platforms, technologies, software and services that build onto that to enable the functioning of the digital economy itself. And then, of course, all the various apps that are being developed and the emerging technologies in this space. And then, you know, I guess at a core, you could say that it's about electronic transmission of data across the internet and the content that's included there. But I would be in agreement.
Mr. Feith, I know you focused on national security aspects of this issue.
In the last 40 years. In that scenario, the average retired worker will receive an extra $145 a month. However, the official COLA cannot be calculated until December, and so inflation data is not available yet. The average monthly Social Security benefits for retirees was recently around $1,600, or about $20,000 per year, and that average is around $1,700, and so this is plenty of money for people to collect for fuel and pay their bills. But a new proposal would also change the way the benefits are calculated and potentially putting more money into the pockets of beneficiaries. Democratic Representative John Larson has introduced a legislation called Social Security 2011. Its new bill, everybody, would also, among other things, would discontinue the use of the CPIW to determine your Social Security benefits. Instead, the bill would also change the calculations based on the Consumer Price Index for elderly, which places greater emphasis on the cost for food, housing, apparel and medical care. The bill would also provide a benefit bump for current and new Social Security beneficiaries, including those who are receiving retirement, disability, or dependent benefits, equal to the average of 2% of the benefits to make up what Representative Larson described as inadequate COLA since '83. But it would also set a minimum benefit of 25% above the poverty line, which would be tied to wage levels as benchmark. Eliminate the 5-month waiting period to receive payments and provide